Hi, my name is Susan Edmondson, and this is my discussion board for a collection development policy. The three reasons that I came up with that I think are most important to having a collection policy came from the American Library Association Workbook for Selection Policy Writing webpage. And I think that it is important to have a collection policy to be sure that I provide equitable student access to a diverse set of materials that support our school's curriculum and enrich the students' learning. I think a collection policy is important to ensure consistency in the material selections and the collection maintenance. And I also think it would be important in the collection policy to involve the administration, teachers, students, and/or community members when it is appropriate. So the article that I found was written by Tudor and Moore, and the title is What the Shelves Aren't Saying, an exploration of self-censorship in high school libraries. This article looked at the collections of 90 high school libraries across the state of Texas. The schools were chosen randomly, but they made sure that there were 15 of each size classification. The school's libraries' catalogs were then searched for 55 titles that are considered the most challenged titles, and they wanted to see if the library had over 50% of them. So what they found is that smaller schools and smaller towns were less likely to have these books that are challenged more often. This censorship can be preventative, and they found that it's really a fear of a potential challenge that may cause a librarian to exclude the title from the collection. So the problem with self-censorship is that we often don't even realize what we're doing. It can prevent librarians from including certain titles just because they personally object to them, or as the article stated, they may just be worried that someone else could object to them. And it can cause book collections to simply be incomplete. So I need to recognize my own biases so I can prevent self-censorship in my library. No one except for me is going to know if I've excluded a title for my own personal reasons, and so I have to be vigilant to prevent this from happening. So as I mentioned in the article, they found that it was the smaller districts and the smaller schools that were more likely to have books not on the shelf that they thought should be there. And I am a librarian in a smaller town and a smaller school district, so I need to be sure to recognize my own biases and try to overcome them in my book selection. I do recognize the importance for students to see themselves in the pages of a book, but I also need to understand the importance for students to see a wider perspective of the world around them in the pages of a book, something that might not necessarily be within the four walls of our school, but are still important for their own global perspective. I can't worry about what someone may or may not challenge, but I need to include in my collection what's best for all of my students. I really enjoyed this article by Todd Kyle, Children's Collection Development, Good Books or Books Kids Like. And it was interesting to me the way he compared those two categories, books that we think as librarians are really good books, and then books that kids simply like. I do need to consider all points in collection development. I need to consider the reviews, the reading level, the book quality, student choice, among so many other different points. The most important thing that I found in the article was when Kyle mentioned that if students find that a book has the power to satisfy and delight, then it's a book worth having, and it's something that I should include in my collection. These are the resources that I used for this discussion board, so thanks so much for listening.